And so, I mean, I know that there's also a sense of identity across, I mean, the border is an artificial construct, right? Alberta and
Mhm.
Saskatchewan are both traditional Cree territory, traditional Dene territory if you're further north, traditional Blackfoot territory if you're further south. So, I mean, to you, do you identify yourself now as an Albertan, as a Grand Prairian, or is your identity a little more uh, non non-traditional in that way?
Mhm. You know, my understanding of identity has really evolved over time. I think when you're young and living with your parents, you really identify based on your family, right? How do my parents define themselves? How do we interact with each other? What's the culture that's taught in the home and the teachings taught in the home? As I got into university and medical school, I started exploring some of my other roots. I mean, we've always had strong connections to both our Métis, First Nation, Pacific Islander backgrounds, but I really started asking the question of what does this mean to me? When we moved to Alberta, I found that there was a lot of similarities with Saskatchewanians, but Albertans were different in the way that um, when when Albertans go forward with something, they really go all in. That's something that's a little bit different than Saskatchewan. And Saskatchewan is a more conservative type of exploration. We put one foot in the water, but if we feel the cold wind, we kind of step back for a little bit and reevaluate. You know, in Alberta, I found that there's lots of folks who I've come across who really have this strong sense of individualism, exploration. They want to stretch the limits of themselves. And I found too that small town Alberta, which I classify Grand Prairie as, is very, very different than small town Saskatchewan. Um, One of the things I noticed is, there's a Walmart and a Costco. I mean, you'd never find a Walmart or Costco in small town Saskatchewan. And I think that speaks to just the approach that Albertans take when it comes to laying down roots and development and also expansion. And then, the long history of immigration here in Alberta. So I think after almost 10 years here, I really do define myself as an Albertan. But I don't forget where I came from either.